PGA Nation, we are back, and we are back with another edition of Golf Madness. We have a big draft ahead of us tonight, but before we get to the Genesis Scottish Open, we have to recap what was an electric John Deere Classic. Absolutely electric. Got her up, got it done over America's 250th anniversary. It was a great finish. It was especially electric for me because I put in a live ticket on Got Her Up during the tournament at like plus 700, which I was pretty excited about. So I got myself a win. Spence, how did you do last week, and how are you doing tonight?
I had a profitable week. It was a good event. On the DFS side of things, congratulations to Kyle Murray and Turtle Bear who advanced. Joel, you put up a really valiant effort there. Ended up having the 3 missed cuts, but Coles and Got Her Up nearly got you there at the very end, playing 2 men down, which, we saw it with the USA Soccer. Like I said, you just needed it to be overturned, I think, at the end of the day and get some of those guys into the weekend, and you would have gotten yourself there. But look, this is what it's all about. It's survive in advance. It's whatever you can do to get into the next round, and you and I have not done a great job of that, being 2 of the first ones eliminated. But new show tonight, 4 great participants. We're going to get the audience into play. So if you're listening, please jump in on YouTube, put the your picks into the chat. You'll be able to make picks along with our 3 esteemed panelists on this here. And I look forward to see what we end up producing for a show this week.
Before we introduce our guests, I will piggyback on that. Spencer and I obviously blew it. We didn't advance. We lost in our own tournament. But I will say, like you said, I had the winner, and it wasn't the runner-up. The guy who was winning the whole time ended up getting third. But I didn't have enough guys make the cut. So that goes to show you need cut makers if you want to advance here. So team audience, as the other regular draftee on this show, we need you guys to advance tonight. So we have 1 representative of our show into the next round. So team audience, we really need you guys to show up tonight, get in the chat, draft a winning team, get into the next round. The top 2 will advance, but we did not make it easy for you because we brought in the big guns. As you know, Golf Madness, we are bringing in the experts to give you guys the absolute best picks, and we certainly have that for you tonight. All of which are familiar faces. If you follow golf, if you're in the Twitter gambling spaces, you know each and every one of our big guests tonight, starting with PGA tout John. How you doing tonight?
What's up, fellas? We're in the group of death today with the juggernaut of the audience, especially in the crew. I know how much of a danger they've been in the King of the Draft. So iron sharpens iron. I know you guys know that well. Being on the wrong side of the cut in the earlier rounds, I'm nervous, but I'm prepared. Let's do it.
John has been on this show drafting a few times. Definitely going to be a tough out for everyone. We also have Chris Powers joining us today, who I just learned is actually my neighbor, which is a really small world. Chris, how you doing?
Yeah, I guess we live right down the road from each other. That's hilarious. I'm doing great. Beautiful Tuesday evening in New Jersey, as it always is, as you know.
It is. And it is a big draft popping off tonight. Last but not least, we have Eric Cohen joining us, drafting a team. Eric, how you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm glad to be here with this crew. I feel like I'm with a couple of geniuses, the audience really smart, and here I am. It's 112 degrees in Scottsdale, Arizona, where I am. So, hey, I'm looking for a cool way to survive this bracket of death.
What I was going to say is, and we talked about this a little bit off air, every single person who has come on and been self-deprecating to start this has advanced. And the secondary part to that is everybody who's had any connection to the show. You and I, Sia Najad used to be the co-host with us. The 3 of us are all out. So I don't know. Maybe there's something to be said about coming on here and just putting down your chances from the very beginning and letting the dice roll the way that they're going to.
I don't know. I read these guys every week and your stuff as well. I go on the air with Sia, who's also a genius. I couldn't believe he didn't advance. Let's hope I have a better fate.
Well, I wish you each luck. As a quick refresher, the way the rundown is going to go for tonight, Spencer's going to pull up the wheel. We're going to spin. Whoever it lands on gets to pick their draft position. So if they want to go first, they can go first. If they want to be in the 4 slot, they can choose that as we go. From there, we will go into the draft. So team audience will be one of the drafting spots. The way it's going to work for the wheel, if the audience gets picked first, whoever is the first person in the chat to respond with where they want to go is where you'll go. So be quick, be the first person to get it in. That will be the spot you'll go to. For the full draft, the way it works is we do a 4-man snake draft, kind of like your fantasy football drafts, 1 through 4, and then the second round goes 4 through 1. The big news is because team audience is on and drafting tonight, that means anyone watching, tuning in, can participate in the draft. You're a part of team audience. The way a team audience pick is made is everyone watching can nominate a player. So anyone you want drafted, just put it in the chat when team audience is up. When that player is seconded, meaning a second person in the chat says that same player's name, that is the audience's pick. So you mentioned the player once, that's the nomination. The second person says their name, that locks in your pick. We typically get a team audience captain to kind of help streamline the audience picks. I will do it if no one volunteers, but ideally, one of our regulars, maybe a Courtney Harden, Brian England, whoever's in the chat tonight, if you guys want to be the captain of team audience, even Byron, who's often on the show drafting with us, please, someone volunteer. Hank Byers, are you the one volunteering? You already put what draft spot you want. Hank, will you be the captain for team audience? If so, help us kind of share this along. If they're struggling to get a pick in, the captain can kind of make an executive decision to get that in. All right. The last thing about the draft tonight, in case you're new and you do want to participate, get into YouTube because you can participate in the chat through YouTube. And you do need to stay within your DraftKings salary. So what that means is you can't just go and draft all the best players. You need to actually be able to afford your lineup on DraftKings. So we'll have a tracker of how much you've spent, how much you have left. You'll be able to follow that as you go. All right, Spence, without further ado, who is going to get the choice of where they pick first? Oh, Chris, your choice. Where are you drafting tonight?
I'm going to go third.
Chris wants the 3. Interesting selection. So did you think about this before the show? You're like, the 3 slot is where I need to be.
I thought about it just now when I realized what this was, and I'm trying to be smart, and I think people are going to think I'm smart taking the 3rd spot, so that was my logic behind it.
I like it. All right, the 3 spot off the board. All right, let's spin it again.
Yeah, and I'll ask this question to John. Is there a specific spot that you would like to be in this draft?
Yes.
Oh, we're going to find out in a second. For the record, every single time that question has been asked, it's landed on the person. So I guess we're going to find out in a second.
All right, I want 4, mostly because audience has already tipped their cards and I don't want them getting what they want, but also I don't really need a guy in the 1st round. You know, I'm building depth here, so I want a good 2nd round pick.
If you landed first, would you have taken 3?
Ooh, I don't know. I think I'm 4 all the way. I don't know what CP's up to.
All right. I really want audience to go first because it's much easier to manage the draft with them on the corner. But if it wasn't a tournament, I would have just made them first. But I can't do it here. We got to follow the rules, Spencer. Go ahead, spin it again. Come on.
Man.
Audience, your choice. I did see someone in the chat say 4, but that's already gone. You can only pick 1 or 2. Byron, we appreciate you volunteering. Byron, you are the captain. Ray, is that the line? You're the captain now. So, Byron, where is team audience?
By the way, this is a very dangerous game to be playing. Byron's already advanced to the Sweet 16. I don't know if allowing Byron to manipulate a draft here is the best idea, Joel.
Fair. All right, Byron. I'm not going to put a full kibosh on it, but as soon as someone else volunteers to take captain, you're going to lose your seat. So anyone else. Okay.
Persant said 2, so we'll give.
Persant, will you just be the captain and therefore we can get Byron and his trying to manipulate you guys out of here? Persant, just volunteer. Okay, well, hopefully he will. Which means, Eric, you're in the 1 slot. And with the 1st overall pick, you're on the clock.
Wow. I mean, this is tough. I was trying to figure out what's the best way to build my roster, and I'm actually going to go down the board a little bit. Start with Tyrrell Hatton at 8,900. We're getting a chance to. I can't believe we're picking Tyrrell Hatton in a PGA Tour event, but all parts of his game are working. 2 top 10s in majors this year, and he won last month on Live. So I'll start there.
I have a question before we dive in. I forgot, and it probably was, and I just forgot, but the last couple seasons, were the Live players allowed to play in this tournament? Has this been the same for the last couple of years?
Well, it's not that they're Live players. It's like they still maintain their DP World Tour eligibility, and I think they were like actively. They weren't in a good place last year to even try it because they just weren't on good terms. But now they're trying to get back in good terms because that might be their goal next year. So yeah, the guys who are playing are like the ones that want to go back to the DP World Tour next year.
That makes sense. Okay, that's a good explanation of why. Because I was like, I don't remember this being the case last year. So I was like, why does this feel so much different? But that's a good explanation. Okay, Tyrrell Hatton off the board. Now, I expected Hatton to go, and I expected him to go early. I did not expect him to go 1 overall. So I like it. Go get your guy. The first overall pick doesn't have to be the highest ranked guy. Before we move on, Spence, I'd love to hear, how does your model like Tyrrell Hatton this week?
I mean, I think he's very popular, and I guess if I would have projected, maybe I would have had a different viewpoint of you, Joel. I actually thought that there was a very high likelihood chance. I don't want to influence the draft as we move forward, but I thought Hatton could be the first player off the board. He's a top 6 projected win equity candidate for me in my sheet. He ranks inside of the top 7 in all iterations of how I ran it. And if you just look at what he's done specifically at this course, nothing worse than 24th in his career. And we all know about the links style pedigree. Think of the Alfred Dunhill Links Championship and what he's done on similar venues in the past. I think for the price tag of what you're getting here, there's a lot of safety that Eric has started his lineup with. And there is something to be said about this when we are trying to extrapolate out some of these DP World Tour players and their stats. I think you get somebody at a price tag that makes a lot of sense here.
All right. Now, before we keep this conversation going, team audience, you have a few nominations in. You need one of them to be final. So, team audience, finalize that pick. You have Clark and Fitzpatrick nominated. We need something final. While we wait, I want to go to you here, Chris. Is Tyrrell Hatton someone you're targeting this week?
He is not, believe it or not. I'm actually in the process of writing up our picks right now, which usually go live every Tuesday night. And he's not someone I had my eye on, although a lot of guys smarter than me on our column do seem to have their eye on him. So I would trust them on that one. And I would expect Tyrrell Hatton to play very well this week.
All right. Tyrrell Hatton off the board. Team audience is locking in Wyndham Clark with the second pick in the draft. Wyndham Clark obviously playing great golf right now. I would probably say the hottest golfer in the world in terms of recency. I'd love to hear from you, Tout. How do you feel about Clark this week?
I love Wyndham Clark. I was hoping to get him on my team. He's a bet for me. Will be interesting to see if the European crowds are friendlier to him than his hometown American crowds, because that didn't go very well for him there. I don't think he's as any more liked overseas. So it may be hostile territory in Edinburgh, but he's a good wind golfer and playing some of the best golf in the world right now.
You could even argue that maybe he plays better as the bad guy. You know, he thrives off the booze and the trash talk. So I don't think that's going to hinder him one bit. And the way he is swinging the ball over the last month or so, you got to like Wyndham Clark as much as anybody. All right, Chris, with your first pick here, 3rd overall, how are you going to start out your draft?
Yeah, I'm not going to overthink it. I'm going to take Matt Fitzpatrick, who I heard the audience was eyeing, but been high on Fitzy all year. Unfortunately, bet him at all the majors so far, where he's like had some of his most mid weeks. Have missed out on him when he's won, when he's finished really high. I'm going to try not to do that this week, so I'm going to start with Matt Fitz.
Matty Fitz off the board. I like Matt Fitz a lot. You know, he's a really great, obviously, player. Should be a good course fit. I think one question that's come up in previous tournaments that I want to ask this crew here as well. We'll start with you, Chris. Are you a believer that Alex Fitzpatrick is closing the gap and might be as good, if not better now, than Matt Fitzpatrick. Obviously, you took Matt, so probably not. But what's your take on Alex Fitzpatrick's rise?
I mean, certainly has closed the gap in a very short period of time over the last 2 months or so. Maybe ask me that question again a year from now. Although I am a Alex Fitzpatrick believer, but it's only been 2 months, and it's been a special 2 months, no doubt. But you want to see it for a longer period of time, like obviously his older brother, has proven for 4 or 5 years now.
I think that is a fair take. All right, Tout, you got 2 here. Your first 2 of this draft. You wanted the 4 slot, so how are you going to start off your draft?
Yeah, I wanted all 3 of the first 3 guys who've been drafted, so it's not great, but I still got the guy available that I would have taken with the first pick. So I know we're in the elements, but I'm going Tom Sim. The man has nothing but top 20s at the Renaissance Club. He's a machine in Scotland. Great links golfer, riding the heater, great approach play lately. Just can't putt, but on the links he can putt. So hopefully he doesn't break his foot. That's what he did the last time he was in Britain playing well. But I like Tom Kim here.
Tom Kim off the board, and 7,600. Yeah, it's a really great value at 7,600, especially with that course history. I guess my question for you is, before your next pick, how much are you valuing course history this week?
I think it's very valuable. I think Scottish links is very different from what we're going to see every week on the PGA Tour. I want to see guys who play well in the wind and who can handle this style of play. So I'm weighing it pretty heavily, yeah.
All right, there you have it. So with your second pick, how you following up Tom Kim?
All right, yeah, so I'm going to go Rory. I was wondering if we would be picking off the juggernauts in the first round. I'm not going to see this board for a while, and I don't know how it's going to shake out. And honestly, I don't really like a lot of value guys. That's why I jumped on Tom Kim, because there's not a lot of guys 7,600 or less that I do like this week. So we'll see who's left by the time I'm back here. But I do think Rory, what is it? He won here, then runner up, then a T4, I think, after that. So he's always in the mix. Talk about having the crowd on your side. The American fans do not like Rory. Overseas, the man is praised. So he will be in comfy crowd environments for the next 4 days. I like that for Rory.
Yeah, I'm going to, as we lead this on into the draft, and I'm going to phrase this question to you, Chris. There is game theory in this of trying to not give away too many of the insights. Like, obviously we're trying to have a show where we're explaining who people like this week, but I understand there's a competition built into this. We've seen with the first 5 picks right now, Scotty is not one of those names. Before you give us your selection here at the 202, do you have a view on Scotty Scheffler this week? If you do, you can kind of hold it closer to the vest and give us your selection, but anything about Scotty that you would like to drop? Because I do think it's an interesting thing for people tuning in that Scotty has not been picked yet.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm not the biggest DFS lineup guy, but I understand that that's a guy who's going to take up quite a bit of your salary. Now, he did just come off probably his best approach week since it looks like the Masters at the Travelers Championship. So that tells me that he's probably not as far off as we've all sort of thought, at least the people who follow it very closely, who dive into the stats. We've all noticed he maybe hasn't been his sharpest self. That seemed to have changed at the Travelers, which certainly scares me over these next 2 weeks, or, scares people like me who, I'm searching for a little more value down the board, trying to hit a bigger outright, especially with the awful streak I'm on, which I'm sure everyone's aware of. So he scares me right now, but again, big price tag, obviously. And I just have my eyes on a bunch of different guys down the board here.
So if it's not Scotty Scheffler for your pick, who are you going to select?
Yeah, I mean, we just talked about it. I said I'd like to see it over a full year, but as of right now, he's one of the hottest players on the planet. I'm going with Alex Fitzpatrick. I'm going with the Fitzy double to start off my lineup.
I like how you didn't tease that when I was asking you about Alex Fitzpatrick. You kept it tight. Let her get back to you. You can get over your team. I like that. That's a good strategy.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that was nice. That was good. the Fitzpatrick brothers. You get the team together. Going to have great team chemistry this week.
Mhm.
Should help you guys. So that is a powerful start here from Chris.
Yeah, and as we wait for the audience's pick here, please put into the chat who you would like. I'll ask you this, Eric. Was Alex Fitzpatrick somebody that you were considering with your selection if it had come back to you?
He was not. He's a good pick and makes a lot of sense, but I am very much hoping that the audience does not steal my next pick here. I know who I want. I don't want to give any hints, but I will make this. I would run to the podium if I could and make this pick immediately.
Well, Xander has been put in from the audience. We do need one more, at least for the time being right now, to get to there. I don't know if we're going to get it right now. Joel, I will say this, I'm always a big defender of the audience. I know that this move that we've had into the new channel and the people are having a hard time finding it. This is not a championship effort that we are seeing from them. This is just not showing up.
I was going to say team audience this season was the most winning drafter before we did the tournament. Team audience was red hot, but you know what? They didn't do a great job keeping their all-stars, their primetime players. They're coming up with a shell of themselves here tonight. Now, Prasant has been an all-star. He's being asked to really carry the team here tonight. Hank is showing up big. They still have a chance. Let's see how these picks come through. Except for Hank trying to draft a shape instead of a golfer. We got stuck to the golfers. They really are over the place. This could be an epic disaster from team audience. Prasant, you got a few nominations in there. You got to and he did. He stepped up. There you go.
I mean, once again, I will say this. It's Byron on back nine bets over there is, I don't know if he's picking the name that he does not want to be the selection every single time. It feels like it's potentially been 2 of 2 on that. We will go with it here. It will be Christopher Wright. And if we run into that situation again and it's split, I don't mind letting Prasant as the team captain make the selection. But I like Wrighton this week. I think there's a lot of reasons to try to back him. I don't know, Eric, if that's the route that you were talking about.
That was it. That was the guy I wanted. Yep. Audience stole it from me. Ouch.
All right. So you started with Hatton. You cannot go with Wright. And now you have $8,220 left. I will say this before you make the pick. We've kind of seen this happen in every single draft. I would say John is probably the first one to buck that system a little bit more than everybody else. I feel like once we get to the end of the second round here, everybody has about 8,200 give or take. And if you look at this draft, it's all between 8,050 and then 8,225 with the audience. PGA Tout has himself at 7,600. You guys seem to be in the same territory right now where everybody's going to be drafting even with Tout there. If it's not Wrighton for you, who do you want to pair next to Hatton?
I'm going to go with the 2024 champion of this event at 9,000. Give me Bobby McIntyre. He's played some better golf of late, and this is his home tournament. So at 9K, that will be my second selection.
And then one more over to you at the 301 here.
The next one I'm going to take is a player who was 4th here last year. I'm not sure I trust his putter, but he hasn't won anywhere around the world since 2023. 2 top 6s in the last 3 years here, and that is Nikolai Højgaard at 8,000.
I see. I knew it, Eric. You started off with, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to have the worst team. Your first 3 picks may have been my first 3 picks I would have taken, my 1, 2, and 3. So, like we've said, everybody who starts with the self-deprecation always tends to do great, and it's off to a great start here from Eric. I, for one, will say I really like Nikolai Højgaard this week. He was red hot to start the season. He cooled off a little bit recently, which might bring his ownership down a little, even though he does look to be pretty popular this week. But at only 8K, I think he provides a ton of upside and value this week. Nikolai Højgaard is definitely going to be one of my favorite value plays, if you can count 8K as value this week as well. Team audience, we're back on you. We need that pick in. So Is Xander the pick or is Xander just a nomination?
I mean, Xander's the only pick right now, but Xander's definitely the leader in the clubhouse for this selection.
All right. I will give the rest of the audience another couple seconds to put another nomination or finalize the Xander pick. While we wait, let's go to Chris here. How much are you prioritizing? I don't want to say European golfers, but guys with links experience for this tournament.
That's a good question. I don't know. I always feel like this course, you're expecting this crazy links kind of feel, and you turn it on, and it just doesn't really feel like your typical, like we're going to get next week. But obviously, it certainly helps. I'm probably leaning a little more towards course history. I was really intrigued by one, Nikolai Hogard, who's now off the board, unfortunately. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like this Renaissance Club's, it doesn't play like the typical style we see at the Open Championship.
There you have it. All right. Team audience locked in with Xander. Xander is the pick at 9,800. They've spent up. I am a little bit surprised that from the looks of things, I don't think Scotty's going to get taken in this draft. So, the top of the board might end up being Rory, which, is just an interesting one for a 4-man draft. And, the best player of the world not getting taken. Spence, maybe my memory slipping. Is this the first tournament where Scotty was an option and he did not get drafted for this tournament?
No. The U.S. Open, Tambo, Sia, Idoni, and that group did not end up taking Scotty Scheffler. So it's not the first time that it's happened. I will say this. I liked Scotty, and I don't think I'm influencing the draft here because I don't know if anybody can get up to him. As you said, I liked Scotty at the U.S. Open. I was very overweight to him. I thought that it was simple to build around him in the $6,000 section with the Aaron Rise of the world, and played a lot of Maverick McNeely, who kind of faltered there on the weekend. But when I ran the optimal in my lineup on Monday, Scotty was the furthest removed from the optimal that I've probably ever seen him before. That does not mean Scotty's not going to play well. It does not mean that Scotty's not going to win this golf tournament. He's still the number one player for me. He's still the most likely person to win. All I am stating with that is one, a name like Rory McIlroy was closer to him on the odds board for the projected win equity than I normally would get. And two, I did find it difficult to build lineups with him the way that I wanted to. I think there's so much value to be found in this $9,000 section that by starting with Scotty, you remove some of those playable options. So I am not shocked that this group has not taken Scotty. I do see him as the highest owned player, like him and Hatton seem to be right now on the board. But I would also say, whether this ends up being right or wrong, I do think that the sharps, if we want to call them that in the space, seem to be veering away from Scotty Scheffler. And I think this group as a whole is sharp, and they seem to also have veered away from Scotty Scheffler.
Boom. Scheffler not going, and Spencer calling that the sharp move. I hope he doesn't go out and win now, because that would make it interesting. Go ahead, Spencer.
Well, I mean, he could win and also not be in the optimal. I do think it's going to be challenging to build around him. You're going to have to take chances with some of these DP World Tour players down on the bottom if you do select him. And it's another thing where you have to be cognizant of ownership, because I think people are all landing in the same exact spots when they do take Scotty. So like removing him from a player pool, and I don't know how the game theory changes for a contest like this when you only need to beat two players. Like I don't know if that makes it better or worse to just take the best name on the board, but like we talked about it with you, Joel, even with your lineup last week. And I said on the show with you, because you said you were creating a boom or bust lineup. And I said, that's not boom or bust enough for me. I apologize to you. You created a boom or bust lineup. You had the exact top of the board and three players that missed the cut. So you did exactly what you said you were going to do. I think sometimes the dice just roll in the wrong direction. That's not even necessarily anything against the picks that you made. I think you built a lineup, you went for it, you took your shot, it didn't happen. I just think it's harder with Scotty Scheffler here to actually put the pieces together.
I totally get that. And I agree as well. But only on this show can Xander Schauffele get drafted? And then we talk about Scotty Scheffler for the next 3 minutes. So, Chris, you got the Fitzpatrick brothers. I don't think there's any more of them, so you got to take somebody else, unless it's a third brother I don't know about. Where you going with your third pick?
Man, tout picking Rory, I think he's got to be looking in this current range I'm looking at. I certainly just had an internal debate over someone higher up on the board, but maybe I can wait on him and try and steal this maybe player with a little more value right now, and that's Eugenio Chacarra. I'm going to take him. He has 2 victories on the DP World Tour in his last 4 starts. He's been just a really solid player in 2026 on the DP World Tour. I think this is a nice opportunity for him to kind of remind some of those American casual fans this week how good of a player he is. So I'm going to take Chacarra here.
So I think it's a really interesting pick, and I'll ask you here, Spence. What does the ownership that you're seeing on Chacarra look like? Because I wonder, is he going to be sneaky and a DP World Tour guy that you can get as a low-owned kind of player, or are people onto him and know how good he's been, and will he carry some ownership?
I'd be curious if anybody else has a different take than this. I'm pulling from one source right now. Byron can drop it into the chat if he sees a different number. I see him as a popular option right now. I have him at about 13.5%, which would put him as one of the top 15 choices on the board.
Boom. And that's what's confusing. It's hard to tell. We get some of these numbers, and we'll see what the number actually ends up being. But it's hard to tell where some of these DP World Tour guys will actually end up in ownership, because they're not in the field every week. We don't have a lot of reference to what their ownership were of previous tournaments. So there's a little bit of guesswork that goes into it. Obviously, we have some data that we can use to get a rough range. But I think that's going to be an interesting game to play to figure out, how can you get unique, especially if you're building some GPP lineups.
I think part of the problem with him, as far as an ownership standpoint, could end up coming into play. Data Golf has a big push in the market, and I know Data Golf likes him this week, and I think that will inherently increase the ownership maybe a little bit higher than it would have been if we were talking about this 5 years ago. I think that there's, like I've said, we've used the word sharps a lot of times. They're one of the sharp resources that people have out there. I don't think he's sneaking up on anybody this week. Doesn't mean that he's not a playable option, but I don't think you're going to get him. I could be wrong. I don't think you're going to get him as some sub 5% owned name. I think he's going to be somebody that the community, at least in the inner circles that we're in, are going to play him this week.
Well, what about you? Are you playing him?
I haven't made a decision yet. I lean towards no, just because you have to cut some. Like for me, when I'm directly comparing him and Tom Kim, I would rather eat the ownership with Tom Kim. I might end up regretting that decision, but some of the safety numbers for Kim and what we've seen from him historically at this course, I don't want to play multiple options. Marco Penge seems to be carrying a little bit of ownership if you want to throw a third name in there of this like 7,500 plus that seem to be in this 15% owned range, but like we can't play everybody, and you're going to have to cut some pieces off here and there. I probably will not have him in my player pool, but we'll see where this ends up trending over the next 24 hours. I can't even promise you Tom Kim will end up making. I just think Kim is one of the best values at the price, and I end up veering in that direction more so than the Chacarra route.
Ooh, all right. Tout. You got 2 here. I want your take on Chacarra, and then I want to hear where you're going with your next 2 picks.
Yeah, it's like it's like an ESPN snake draft where you got the guy in the queue, and you keep hearing that noise. These guys disappear. It's like the Thanos thing. They're just disappearing from me. It's the guys I want, and I gotta wait this whole time and watch all my guys go. It's a great pick. It's okay. We had a plan for this. We have a contingency plan. Okay, I'm gonna grab another former winner. We've got Rory as a former winner here. I want that pedigree. So give me Minwoo Lee in the 3rd round at the tail end here. One before it was a co-sanctioned event, but he's a bomber. This is Tom Doak. He's won at Tom Doak stateside at Memorial Park. Putter's kind of gotten away from him the last couple of weeks. That's not Minwoo. We know he's going to get that back. The rest of his games look sharp. So I like this fit for Minwoo, and I don't think it's a bad price there at 8,200.
I love Minwoo. I think that's a really solid pick. I think the one thing with Minwoo, he was playing maybe his best golf 2 to 3 months ago. He seemingly has cooled off a bit. But do you think that form is still there for him to go out there and get you a top 10 result, if not win the tournament this week?
Yeah, I think overall the approach play has been great for him this year, and it's really just been the putter that's left him the last month or so. But he's a good player. He'll figure it out. And this is a kind of course where, like CP was saying, it's not like a true links course. You can kind of slap it around here. And I just trust that putter is going to come back.
I love it. All right. Well, you got Minwoo, Rory, Tom Kim off the board, about 7,400 per pick left. Where are you going with your fourth pick?
I'm going to go Foxy here. I'm going to keep it with the Bombers. My man has won the Alfred Links Dunhill Championship. He's a links savant. New Zealand Kiwi, knows the wind well. He bombs it. If he does nothing else, he hits it far. Approach play's been back. Looked really good again at the Canadian Open a couple starts ago. Just kind of rounded out his game. He's won 6 times internationally, 2 on the PGA Tour, 4 overseas. Ryan Fox, previously known as a guy who can't close, guy's got 6 wins. He's a closer.
Ryan Fox, well, one, you don't need him to close. Just a top 10 will be good enough for your lineup out of him. But he's a value play I like a lot this week as well. Love from you, Eric. Do you like Ryan Fox this week?
On the show that I just got done doing early wedge on Sportsline, a few of the guys liked Ryan Fox. Was not a player that I was on, but I think it's a savvy pick. And at that price, we're all looking down the board for who's that sleeper. I think Fox offers great value there.
All right, Ryan Fox endorsed. Chris, we're back to you. You got about 8,200 to spend. You have the most money left of anyone. Where are you going with your fourth pick?
Well, I took Eugenio from Tout. He definitely just took Fox from me. So nice little left hook right back. Thank you for that, John. I'm gonna go, man. I think I'm gonna go. Well, I don't think I am gonna go with a David Pooge here at. Well, the thing I'm looking at is 8,100, but I'll go off whatever your guys' number is. Solid, really solid season on Live. I was on him at the PGA. I believe he managed to finish in the top 20 there. Did miss the cut at Shinnecock. Didn't have a great week there, but this guy's a seriously good player. He's proven that with a number of high finishes on Live. Great amateur player, and he's kind of starting to blossom here a little bit. So David Pooge for me.
This has been one of the funner drafts, and I think you get this specifically on foreign soil when you get a link style venue. But look at Chris's team, look at PGA Tout's team, look at Eric's team. There's not a single American on those 3 lineups. The audience has gone Wyndham Clark, Xander Schauffele. We do need another pick from the audience. So if you can drop that in to the chat, and we will get that pick settled here in the 4th round. But I'll kick it to you, Eric. Was Pooge somebody that was in your player pool?
No, I mean, listen, he's doing well on Live. He's had some nice finishes on the DP World Tour as well. I'm out on Pooge this week. I have a sleeper of all sleepers that this time the audience is not going to pick. I promise you. They stole Wrighton for me last time. It is not you guys are going to look at me like I'm crazy, but I have a stat for you that will get your attention.
Well, I'm excited to hear what that is. We do have Victor Perez from Hank. Persant, I will leave it up to you what you want to do. I see Reed from Persant there. So Reed and Perez, if anybody wants one of those 2 plays, please drop it into the chat. We will get this settled. I mean, Byron says Reed, which I will say this with Byron right now. I know Byron mentioned Goddard Up, and I know he's on Goddard Up this week earlier in the show. So I feel like Byron is he's shooting from the hip a little bit, but I also think he's being honest with some of these selections. I know he's a Patrick Reed guy at the core. I will let Persant end up solidifying that Patrick Reed is the play there, just so everybody's on the same playing field that we agree. But I don't know. I mean, I think I'll ask you, Joel, is Patrick Reed somebody that you are interested in?
Yeah, I just like the way Patrick Reed's playing this year. I mean, he's just been consistent. We know Patrick Reed wins with his short game around the green, his putter. When he's striking the ball well, I think the upside is there, and he's striking the ball well this year. So At 7,700, I think he's definitely a value play who I will be interested in for sure.
Yeah. All right, Eric, you've teased something here. I don't know if you plan to do it with this selection.
Yeah.
You started with Hatton, McIntyre, Højgaard. You have $8,033 left. Who is this surprise pick here?
I'm going way down the board, guys. 6,600. Give me Oliver Lindell. And you're like, who in the heck is that? Guys, he's made 28 straight cuts on the DP World Tour. I'm just looking at this value to make the cut. That's what I want to do. And just give me something where I can go towards the top of the board from here. And that's why I went with Lindell. I wasn't sure. These guys are all sharp. I'm not sure about the audience was going to take him, but I was afraid that Chris or PGA Tout was going to take him. So that's why I had to reach here.
Before we get the second pick, we'll go across the line. I'll start with you, Joel, of how I'm looking at this, yay or nay to him.
Well, I might come around to him because Eric seems to know what he's talking about. But before Eric said it, it was a nay.
Chris?
On Lindell?
Yes.
I'll be honest, Eric has a lot of respect for me, thinking I was onto that guy. I was not. So good for you, Eric.
John?
Just making sure.
Yeah, PGA tout over here, not DP World Tour tout. So that one came off of that. I'm learning on this draft.
I may have saw a stray tweet about the guy, but that's about it.
It's a savvy pick. I mean, the form
is.
looks good. He's a Finn. That Scandinavian air, not far from it.
I will say this. I don't know anything about him. I think the stat that you just put into play that he's made 28 consecutive cuts or whatever the number is intriguing. I will say he seems to be one of the more popular guys in the $6,000 section. So I don't know what the audience planned to do. I don't think it's inconceivable that he could have been on the radar for them. I see 7%, which is not anything insane that we're talking about. But when we're talking about $6,000 golfers, there's not a lot of them inside of the pool that are going to be over 5%. So I don't know what the audience would have done if the audience did want him. Throw it into the chat that the pick was stolen from you. But you've gotten Lindell off the board. You got one more pick until we flip it back to the audience. Where are you going next, Eric?
So this is tough because I'm between two players here, but I'm going to go with a guy that has played here every year since this event came to the Renaissance Club. He has 3 top 6 finishes. Give me Tommy Fleetwood at 9,400.
So I want to say one thing before we kick it to the audience, and please put the picks into the chat as I give this answer. I talked about on Monday running an optimal in my model and what that looked like. And I mentioned Scotty Scheffler is not one of those picks that was inside of the optimal. Not going to give out other names that were included in the optimal, but Tommy Fleetwood was the name that started off as the optimal selection to start a lineup. There's a lot of these $9,000 guys that were close, but I like the Tommy Fleetwood pick. I mean, you're never really going to get a pushback from me. You get him on foreign soil here. We know he's a good link style player. Maybe this is what he needs to win a fulfilled event. As we wait for the audience and we figure out what they want to do, I'll kick it back to you, Tout. The way that you built your lineup starting with Rory, it was going to be very difficult to get into the Tommy Fleetwood range, but I think just as like an overarching theme of what Tommy Fleetwood is, any interest in him this week?
Yeah, definitely, especially for DFS. I think he got to a point when I was looking at who to bet this week, he was shorter than Goddard and Wyndham Clark, and that didn't make sense to me from an odds standpoint because those guys just keep stacking wins, and Tommy Fleetwood can't seem to find any wins in a PGA Tour event. So from a fantasy standpoint, I like his chances to be in the top 10, to be a factor here. Similar to Rory, he'll have the crowd on his side the whole week. I'm sure he'll appreciate that. And at Birkdale especially, I love Tommy Fleetwood. I think I bet Tommy at the Open the last 5 or 6 years. So always a worthwhile investment, Tommy on the links.
Yeah, makes sense.
Spence, you said it before, and I'm finding it really interesting how 90% of this draft is of Europeans. There's very few Americans going off the board, but team audience, you are holding it down for the Americans. Team audience has been drafting a lot of American players. So audience, you're up here. I see Sepp Straka. Sepp is broken, so I don't think that's not an endorsement. It seems like you're looking another angle. I don't know if Hank nominated Perez before, but somebody really wants Perez as he keeps getting brought up. We need this final pick to get finalized. Team audience, you have 7,700 on average per pick. While we wait, I'll comment for the audience to finalize their pick. Chris, I do see that you have the Knicks poster in your background, so you're obviously aware of what it's like to be a champion.
That's right.
As you know, the Knicks were able to pull off this year. With that being said, do you find that there's any, and this is going to be an out there question, so I apologize in advance for it. Okay, I'll change it a little bit so it's not as crazy. If you could compare one golfer in this tournament to the Knicks, who would it be?
Oh my God. That is a great question. Had success a long time ago. It's been a while. Finally broke through. That is a tough one. I don't want to say who I was about to say because nobody likes that guy.
Oh, that's who I was going to say. I think that was a good comparison. Other than the fact that nobody likes him, it's fair. But it is a good, from a playing standpoint, I think it's a good one.
Were you going to say Patrick Cantlay?
Ooh, it wasn't Patrick, but it wasn't Cantlay. It was another Patrick that was recently drafted on this draft.
Patrick Reed?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a decent one. If you the Masters was a long time ago, ready to break through again. I can see that. That's a tough question.
I like that. I'll stand behind Patrick Reed. I'll take that one. He's coming. He's on his way back. That's what
people hate the Knicks fans.
So there you go.
So there you have that. You have that going for Reed there. That's a decent comp.
I love it. All right, Patrick Reed and the Knicks. No one thought that was coming up on this show. But Victor Perez, you finally got your wish off the board. How about you, Tao? Is Victor Perez on your radar this week?
No, I know that he is a Scotland resident by way of France. That's the extent of my knowledge to Victor Perez. I mean, Wembanyama comps if we're taking the Knicks route. A couple Frenchmen on the board. I was going to go JJ Spawn as a Knicks comp because that man dominates San Antonio. The current reigning champion within San Antonio. The last time a golfer was awarded a trophy in San Antonio was JJ Spawn. He shares that in common with the Knicks. So that's probably where I would have went. I got another comp coming if this gentleman makes its way past CP to me. I can give you another Knicks analogy.
Not only was that a really good one, but the fun fact, Jalen Brunson and Mikal Bridges and Josh Hart won their college championship in San Antonio. So you're very spot on with the San Antonio winning. I also will say, well, let me let this pick happen first before I say that so I don't ruin anything. Chris, with your fifth pick, who you taking?
Well, I actually, believe it or not, did love Victor Perez. I'm a huge Victor Perez guy. I only played a couple DP World Tour events this year, and he finished pretty highly in two of them. So that's a tough break because that would have been a nice, cheaper guy and would have saved a spot for a higher price guy with the last pick. But Tao mentioned something before. We were both kind of simpatico on this Renaissance Club, not your typical link style. You can kind of blow it around here. Marco Penge, I'm going to go with. Obviously he had some sort of health issue. I think PGA Championship was the last time he played prior to this past weekend at the BMW International Open, I believe it was, where he came back and tied for ninth. So right back on the horse for Penge. He's played well at this golf course in this tournament in the past. A bomber. I'll go with Penge in this spot.
Penge off the board. He was someone that was garnering a lot of attention, I feel like, a couple weeks ago. I feel like I haven't heard his name recently, but this could be the week for him to bounce back and pop at only 7,700. Certainly seems like there is some good upside here with Penge. How about you, Tao? Is Penge on your player pool? And then you got your last two to round out your draft.
Yeah, Penge is too rich for my blood at 7,700 here with Rory soaking up the whole salary. It seems to have conquered the vertigo that sidelined him from Shinnecock. Vertigo, who knows, right? Like Jason Day had vertigo. Some weeks he was great. Some weeks he was contending and then had to leave in the middle of the round because he was dizzy. I don't mean to make light of vertigo. I've never had vertigo, thankfully. Hopefully, Penge is on the mend. So yeah, now we're at the wraparound. I think I didn't intend it this way, but I like that I get to just round out the roster here. I don't like having to pick and then hope that whoever I have salary left for is still there. I like being able to just finish it right here. And because it's been such a long time between picks, there's been 10 different iterations I was going to go with this. And these guys were the last guys I thought I was going to end up on, but now I've talked myself into it. So we're going to keep the theme of past champs. Here's where I'm going to go with Nick's analogy. A player who maybe a little undersized, my Jalen Brunson come, a little undersized, workaholic. Nobody's going to outwork this guy. He wasn't given the God-given ability, the resources to become the greatest. He worked every day, brought the lunch pail to the driving range every single day and got 1% better every day. Wins the PGA championship. Not a bomber. Hasn't mattered at the Renaissance Club.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Rye will be my first selection here.
I like the Aaron Rye pick. I think you gave a lot of good points. My only disagreement with you is you can't be comparing Aaron Rye to Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson can only be compared to Scotty Scheffler, not Aaron. Even though he won,
got one ring. We got one ring, one major championship.
I can't give you that one. Nope. Jalen Brunson is much better than Aaron Rye in terms of skill differential. But I still like Aaron Rye for this week.
All right. So my last pick, I got 7,100 left. I'm going to leave $100 on the table for the audience to pocket. Give me Potty. Give me Aldrich Potgieter.
Wow.
Poor man's Penge, some people are calling him. Used to be pure bomber. Kind of rounded things out this year. Kind of similar to Min Woo. Taking the Min Woo route of used to just slap it around everywhere and try to putt his way to get a couple wins. I like what he's been doing lately. He's been contending over there over the last month. I feel like his game will translate to links. And if there's a links course that suits him best, it's going to be this one that's so wide open. You could just swing recklessly and drive it wherever.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever played Pot Guider before, and this is probably the first week that I'm in for all the reasons that you just talked about, John. There's a lot to like, and I kind of made this argument on a podcast earlier, and it's been mentioned a few times. This is not your standard links venue. I would say that there is a much larger mistake to be short here than to be inaccurate. I think inaccuracy you can get away with. I think being short off the tee is something that makes it much more challenging to find success. A lot of long irons into these greens. I think Pot Guider kind of fits this venue perfect for what he brings to the mix here. And that's going to round out Tout's lineup. And as we move to your pick, Chris, before you give us your selection, I do want to talk about what you do, and I'll give you a chance at the end to talk about it further. But what you do over at Golf Digest, I've seen so many viral videos from you over the years since coming into the space, but talk a little bit about what you do over at Golf Digest and tell the people all about what you guys have going on there.
Yeah, I do a little bit of everything, especially these days. Obviously heavily focused on the gambling stuff with Steve Hennessy. We kind of, when all of you guys were getting in the mix there too, I feel like that's when we kind of started. We were ahead of the curve on that, but also do the Loop podcast, co-host of that, constantly writing about everything that's happening in golf on a daily basis. And then I tweet a lot. I do a lot of tweeting. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok trying to do all kinds of different video content here and there. Tout mentioned earlier, I was just in some great sponsored content that I thought was actually pretty good content for being branded content. That was with Golf Galaxy. So go check that out on golfdigest.com. But yeah, you can find me. You can find me anywhere on golfdigest.com every day and all over social media.
Yeah, one of the best follows out there for people that aren't doing so already. As Chris said, he tweets a lot of good information that gets given, and credit to Golf Digest for being ahead of the curve. That's something that I think you guys have done so well just throughout your guys' history is kind of getting in on things before they really take off. And Golf Digest has a powerhouse now when it comes to gambling and gambling content that gets put on the site. So definitely check out Chris, check out Golf Digest if you are not already. All right, Chris, Fitzpatrick, Shakara, Puig, Penge. It sounds almost like, I don't know, it sounded like a Shakira song or something there. You do not have an American on the team. Is that going to change here, or are we sticking with an all foreign lineup?
Until now, it would be very unlike me to not flash a little patriotism with this pick. And I think I have enough money for this guy, a Ryder Cup stalwart, a guy who has not missed a cut since the Arnold Palmer Invitational, which is when he came back from an injury, and that's Justin Thomas. I think I have enough money for him.
I love the Justin Thomas selection. That's somebody that I think that the entire industry is a little too low on this week. I see him at 10% owned. That's maybe more of like a large field GPP answer than anything else, but I bet him as an outright at 45-1. Some of the link style statistics are going to show really well. And I understand they haven't always come to fruition for him, even specifically at this tournament. But I think the ceiling for him is as high as you're going to get for anybody in this range. Like, I would make the argument that Hatton's probably the safest $8,000 golfer. I think Thomas might be the golfer in the $8,000 section that has the most upside. So really like the Justin Thomas pick. I don't think he's going to be massively owned either for people that are playing large field contests, somebody that I am going to be playing myself. And we're still waiting on the audience here. I don't know if Shane Lowry is the pick. I will let Prasant either confirm that or not, but I'll kick the same question of the Justin Thomas thing to you, Eric. Any thoughts on Justin Thomas this week?
Not really. Not somebody that I necessarily considered, but the course history isn't terrible. So it's in that range, which is tough. There's another guy that I probably would have gone, and I think that neither of the audience nor I can afford him, and that's probably Kitayama at 8,400. Sure. That's probably where I would have gone in that range, but I don't really have any problems with JT either.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess as we're still waiting, I'll kick the question to you, John. What about you for Justin Thomas?
Yeah, I think he's super underrated. Like, just keeps churning out top 20s. He has a game that makes sense for links golf. Just like he's an artist. We want to see artists out there on the links playing different shots, getting out of uncomfortable positions. That's what Justin Thomas does best.
I always think of Justin Thomas. I think it was the year after he won the Players' Championship where he got put on the wrong end of the weather draw. He put together one of the best, I believe he shot even par, one of the best rounds I've ever seen of professional golf where everybody imploded and missed the cut during that section. And he actually moved himself up the board, unfortunately, over the next 2 days, ended up moving backwards. I believe I had him as an outright that week. So didn't end up getting the full brunt of what we ended up seeing from him there. But I think the creativity that he shows, the short game, the irons are probably going to have to be better than they have been this year. But as John said, he is a wizard when it comes to creativity and around the green. And that's something that can play really well here. So I like the Justin Thomas pick. It looks like the audience is going to go with Shane Lowry to round out their lineup. We kind of made a stink there, Eric, of them having a bunch of Americans. Perez and Lowry are the last two picks there. Lowry is somebody, Eric, that you could have afforded. I don't know if you were planning to go down that direction or not. Somebody that's kind of been hit and miss recently. I thought he looked really good at the Travelers Championship. That was a name that was in my lineup that did not end up advancing, but he was one of the bright spots there for 3 days. Any interest in Lowry before you give us your last pick?
I did not look at Lowry. I don't trust him. He's on what I call my do not bet list. He proved why when he choked away that DP World Tour event in January, and then he gagged one away at the Cognizant in March. You cannot bet that guy. I mean, if you want heartbreak, you might as well. It's like Ben Coles or Shane Lowry, who had the biggest choke of 2026 on the PGA Tour. So no, I'm out on Lowry.
So if the pick could not have been Lowry, it does not look like you're going to be able to spend the entire salary with the 8,100s off the board already. Can't get to Højgaard at 8,000. Who is the pick going to be then?
So the guy that I was kind of looking at, I'm not gonna spend nearly all my money, but a guy at 7,400, he makes a lot of cuts. He's not American, so I mean can't add one of those. But he's 4 for 5 here, making the cut. He finished 10th here in 2024. I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm going with Corey Connors as my last pick.
That's who took me out of the contest at the Travelers Championship. Went into Sunday looking like I may advance. Corey Connors went absolutely ballistic on that day. My team imploded. I'm not here anymore. So I don't know. I mean, Connors has it. I think I could be wrong on this. I think Connors on every team that he's been taken on so far has advanced. I believe Tambo had him at the U.S. Open, and that team also advanced. So he's 2 for 2 right now. It will be 3 for 3 if you can get yourself through. But that's the lineups for this week. I think it's 4 really competitive teams that we have. Shout out to Prasant for leading team audience. Shout out to Hank and Byron for communicating in the chat and trying to do it. Shout out to Caitlin. I think this is going to be a good contest from start to finish. I'm going to be updating scores starting on Thursday after the round, so everybody will know where they stand with it. But I'll kick it back to you, Joel.
Well, that was a fun draft. Smash the like button. Give everyone on here a follow. It goes a long way. We greatly appreciate it. We also, as Spencer said, greatly appreciate you, team audience, getting in there, participating. Prasant, you were a great captain, and we always appreciate the rest of the crew in there drafting with you. Of course, Hank, Caitlin, Byron, you name it. You guys are the true MVP of this show. Before we get you out of here, the last thing we're going to do is everyone's going to go around. We'll give an update of where you can find them and their favorite bet of the week. Before we get to that segment, I have one more segment I just added in because I'm curious, and there's one I want to give. One player you're surprised did not get drafted in the draft, and the one I want to start with is Ludwig Aubert. I just thought people were going to like him this week. He made a lot of sense, especially because at one point we were saying almost everyone drafted was European, and I thought he would be someone that would have fit that mold, but got left out. So we'll go back to you, Chris. Who are you surprised did not get taken this draft?
Ludwig for sure. Let me pull up who else. Yeah, that was definitely who I was. I mean, obviously Scotty is crazy. I know I mentioned that. He's a big price tag, so it's not too crazy. But did Chris Goddard get taken?
Nope.
No.
I'll go with Goddard. That's pretty shocking. A former winner here, coming off the John Deere. I think I saw you made 16 of 17 cuts this year. He's become a bona fide winner. You saw all the people tweeting the stats out about that on Sunday. So that's my shocker. Goddard.
I'm with you. And also a fellow New Jersey guy. So
that's right. Absolutely.
Big fan of Chris Goddard. How about you, Eric? Who are you surprised did not go tonight?
I would say for me, the biggest surprise, I mean, outside of Scotty and John Rahm and Goddard and Oberg, how about Kurt Kitayama, 8,400? I talked about him. I thought he'd be in the range where, a lot of people liked him, finished second here several years ago. I thought in that medium price tag area that he would be more interested. I'm surprised the audience didn't go for him either, but I guess they probably didn't have enough money to do so.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But I'm with you. He's the one I will be playing this week as well. All right, Tao, how about you? Who are you surprised did not get taken?
Yeah, I don't have anyone new to add to that list. Kitayama and Goddard are 2 guys that I bet and definitely were on my short list. As soon as I picked Rory, I priced myself out of both those guys. But they're good plays for DFS purposes for sure. I don't know if this means that they'll be lower owned. If so, even better. But I like Goddard a lot. Obviously one here last year, one last week. Who's hotter than him?
Yeah, there you have it. How about you, Spence? Is there anyone else that you were surprised maybe should have gone or scored well in your model that did not go tonight?
Not really. I think everybody did a good job of pinpointing the names. Anybody that was over 10% got mentioned. John Rahm, I mean, I guess we didn't talk about him a ton, although I'm not really shocked Rahm did not get selected. I would have thought that people would have been more inclined to get to Scotty, and it kind of gets weird into the price point. For me, I've talked a lot about optimal and what my model liked early in the week. I tweeted this out. I really like Ludwig Oberg. I don't know that I can be the person to take at face value for that. I feel like I'm a broken record at this point every single week saying that he's inside of the optimal of my model, but you got to love the long iron play. And I would make an argument that some of the around the green stuff, like the sand save stuff, could present some problems for him, but where Oberg finds the biggest issues are those tournament ending mistakes that he has that takes him out of contention. I think it's rather simple in some of these spots. Like, yeah, you need creativity, but you can get yourself up and down from a lot of these lies. And he is good around the green when you give him something easy to try to get up and down on. So I think he makes a ton of sense. And I also like Chris Goddard up a lot. Like, he's fringe proper optimal for me, depending on exactly how I run it. So I think it's always a unique viewpoint that Goddard has a double whammy here in the eyes of the public. They don't really like to play past winners for whatever reason, and they don't like to play people that have won in the prior week, and Goddard got both of those two things. From an ownership standpoint, he looks popular. Although we just went on a show, 4 teams across, Goddard wasn't taken. Everybody mentioned him. Nobody went to him. And to be honest with you, if I was involved in this draft, not even so sure I would have gotten to him. So like, that might be a reason to be a little bit more bullish and aggressive on Goddard if this is what's going to keep happening, that he's the overlooked commodity of the group.
All right. Well, 4 teams drafted. I'm having a hard time picking which team I think is going to win. I think this looks really competitive to me. I can see any of these 4 teams winning. Spence, if you had to pick a winner here, who you siding with?
I mean, I'm going to give the scapegoat answer right now. I will run this. I will give proper numbers. I've been doing that every single week. I will write the article of what my model actually believes the projection to be. I don't want to give a gut feel to this. I let you down last week, Joel. You were one of the names that I had advancing, which I guess it's credit to the lineup. Variance played itself out with it. I've been having my own little mini contest that I will continue with AI, because AI also gives their selections of who's going to advance. I think I'm up 1 on them right now after last week. So AI will give their picks tomorrow in an article. I will give my picks in an article tomorrow, but you can tell me who you like out of these teams.
I really mean it. Like, I think this is really close. I think this might be the closest for, like, I could pick any of the 4 and make an argument for it. With gun to my head, and I have to pick one right now, I'm going to take Tout, but it's very close. I just think, I think really what's pushing Tout over for me is the fact that he has Rory. So it's like he's got the best player, and I like some of the value plays that he has. So, but I was, I really could have picked any team here, and I think they're all within a couple points for who I think will actually come out and be victorious. So
you can see with Tout's team, which I think is just interesting for everybody who's watching this. Like, you don't have to dip down into the $6,000 section while starting a build with Rory to find a really flat team from top to bottom. I think that's what Tout probably put together there. So I don't know what the model's going to say. I mean, if you made me guess, maybe that or the audience. Like, my model's going to probably like the audience quite a bit from some of the safety marks that are in it, but I don't know. That's something that I will find out tomorrow.
Oh, there you have it. Let us get you guys out of here. We really, really greatly appreciate it. We had stars on the show tonight. If you're not following all 3 of these guys already, make sure you do. You will certainly make more money by doing so and be more entertained. Chris, please go ahead. Before we get out of here, tell everyone where they can find you and what your favorite bet is of the week.
You can find me at golfdigest.com every day. You can find me on Twitter at cpowers14, Instagram at cp3 THREEVE. You can find me on TikTok at cpowers141. My favorite bet, I don't recommend these, but they're my favorite because they're the most fun, and that is a 2-leg top 20, including ties parlay, and that's Tyrrell Hatton and Nikolai Højgaard. You can get that at plus 540 at DraftKings.
You must be liking Eric's lineup by that bet. Eric, where can we find
I
you?
I steal from people. I bet my own stuff.
I mean, I love hearing that, Chris. I am the host of a show called The Early Wedge on Sportsline. You can find that on the Sportsline YouTube page. I'm with Sia Najad, who you guys obviously know quite well, Jason Sobel, and of course Chris's buddy Patrick McDonald is on there with me every week. We record at 7 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, so it was good to kind of get my show in and then do this. So I was ready to roll right after that. But check that out. It was an honor being on with you guys. My favorite bet of the week. I love free money. Rory McIlroy top 10 is plus 110. Sign me up.
I love it. Rory McIlroy top 10. I like that one. That
You know what's funny about this is everybody's favorite play is somebody else's player in their lineup. So it might go to show you are correct, Joel, how like hotly contested this group is going to be from start to finish.
Tao, are you going to keep this tradition alive? What is your bet of the week? And where can everyone find you?
Yeah, well, I do like a Wyndham Clark outright bet, so shout out to the audience again.
Boom.
Love it. It's like, I don't know if Wyndham Clark's the player of the year right now. He might be. There's like 5 guys that you could say, have a claim to it. Really interesting year. But I would say also, not to toot my own horn, but the Tom Kim top 20 bet to me feels like the safest, least sexy, but highest kind of upside bet. All he does is finish top 20 at this event. He's trending well. So that would be the bet that I give out to our loyal listeners. For me, you can find my articles on lineups.com. I do a tournament preview up every Sunday, and then some player write-ups, and all my bets come out by Wednesday. This week, ISCO. Let's throw some love to the ISCO Championship in Louisville, Kentucky. You can see my bets and my preview on lineups.com for that tournament, as well as some double duty, get me ready for the 2-track system that will be hitting us. Take your time with it because it's pretty exhausting writing 2 tournament preview articles every single week. So take your time with that. Otherwise, on X at PGA Tout and Preferred Lines podcast with Joe Idoni, who has advanced to the next round. I believe he's set some records with his lineup a few weeks ago. So him and I do Preferred Lines in the Read the Line network. We got a special guest coming on, a player in the field. I won't give it away, but a player in the field at the Open Championship. That will be out next weekend, so look out for that.
That is awesome. Like I said, if you don't already, I assume most of you already follow these guys, but in case you don't, give them a follow. They are the best of the best in this industry, which is why we asked them to come on our show, and which is why they drafted 4 great lineups tonight. Smash the like button. Give everyone a follow. We super appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. Spence, did I forget anything?
Well, I will add this, and we will see what ends up happening, but Tout just talked about Idoni's advancement, and I was talking to Joe about this a little bit. That lineup, I don't know where it inevitably ended up finishing. He was like competing in large field GPP lineups for the longest time with that build. He had Wyndham Clark there, which obviously helped, but it was a really good lineup that he put together. I'm just going to throw this out there. And I don't know, I think since he won, I guess if Tout comes in second place, that will actually be the pairing for the next round.
Oh,
I think we host this on Preferred Lines. We'll do it on their show. We'll do a specialty episode if they're okay with it.
Listen, Joe and I have butted heads on the Knicks-Cavs playoff series. He's a Cavs guy. I'm a Knicks guy. So would not be the first time. We'll put a little gentleman's bet together if him and I are so lucky to meet again.
There's a handful of pairings where you're going to be pairing people that work together into the same ranges. And I think that's one of the ones that the general public would like to see at the very top of the list there. So if it ends up happening, it's a tough group. We will see if they end up getting to play each other. But no, I mean, the one thing I will say, Joel, just to wrap this up, my favorite bet is probably Justin Thomas over JJ Spawn in a matchup, if you can get that one. That one has moved. I'm going to give a wild card play here. I feel like I've given it on every single show and every article that I've done. I understand the volatility into this selection, and I'll talk about the negatives of it in a second. I took Richard Mansell to make the cut at plus 138. Back-to-back made cuts at this tournament over the last 2 years. I don't think course history necessarily tells the whole story of the form of a golfer. This is a name that had to sit out for 4 months because of a hip surgery that he had. I'm a little bit afraid that he might be on a little bit too early at this point. If you could have given me this tournament in 2 months and let him regain his form, I think this would have been a really nice smash spot for him. But even when I look at how he missed those cuts, 2 of them were on the number. One of them was by an additional shot there. Even if you look at the last tournament, 67 there to end on Friday. So I think there's reasons to like him. It's the extrapolation that I talked about in my model of not a lot of data that I'm able to pull from, but he was one of the big outliers for me in my sheet. So I took him at 2,000 to 1 to win this golf tournament. I think that's probably pushing it too far. Although I will say this, Joel, if he ends up winning, I don't know, we might need to be making even more money on this show because I might be entering retirement.
Well, tell us more. What do you mean? What do you have on it?
I'm not going to get into the exact specifics of it, but I mean, at 2,000 to 1, you don't need very many dollars to all of a sudden have this be a very large ticket.
I love that. Love it. Well, I wish you the best. I hope that comes through. For me, just a quick one. My favorite bet of the week, I'm going to go with Bobby Mack at plus 170 to give you a top 20. I think Bobby Mack has a good week. Just to get in the top 20, he can certainly do so. That's a wrap for tonight. Good luck this week, and I look forward